Amidst the serene waters of Colombia's Ciénaga Grande de Santa Marta lies a unique village built entirely above the water, Nueva Venecia. With no roads connecting it to the mainland, this floating village showcases a way of life in harmony with nature, while reflecting remarkable cultural resilience. Without solid ground beneath their feet or roads connecting them to neighboring cities, the residents of Nueva Venecia have embraced life entirely atop the water, fully dependent upon the rich marshland ecosystem surrounding them. Founded in 1847, the village is nestled within Colombia's expansive Valley of 100 Waters, a vast lagoon complex spanning over 500 square miles. These waters are fed by the mighty Magdalena River, Colombia's largest river, along with crystal-clear streams flowing from the Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta Mountains, all eventually merging into the Caribbean Sea. The Ciénaga Grande ecosystem is home to 12 hectares of lush mangrove forests and coastal wetlands teeming with wildlife. Monkeys, manatees, jaguars, nutria, foxes, bats, boa constrictors, iguanas, and more than 190 bird species thrive here. Beneath the waters lie about 150 fish species and over 100 different types of marine life, vital resources sustaining local livelihoods. For generations, indigenous communities have inhabited the lagoon area, relying on the waterways for survival. However, significant transformations occurred when industrial farming and large-scale ranching began dominating the surrounding lands, displacing numerous families. Adapting to these challenges, they built homes over the water, eventually giving rise to the floating settlement that became Nueva Venecia. For over 150 years, this remarkable village has nurtured generations of residents who coexist harmoniously with the waters around them. With no land underfoot, Nueva Venecia's community has cultivated a distinct way of life that endures to this day. Today, Nueva Venecia is home to roughly 3,000 inhabitants living across more than 400 elevated houses. Remarkably, the village features a church, a school, a library, and even a floating sports field, all suspended above the water. With no streets or home addresses, boats serve as the sole transportation method. Homes in Nueva Venecia are carefully constructed from durable, water-resistant timber, supported by sturdy pillars anchored deeply into the marsh bed. Roofs, typically fashioned from zinc or other weather-resistant materials, shelter residents from the elements. Painted in bright, cheerful colors, these buildings create a captivating scene that appears to float gracefully atop the lagoon. Despite numerous challenges, Nueva Venecia stands resilient, an inspiring testament to human ingenuity, adaptability, and enduring harmony with the natural world. Boats are integral to daily life here in Nueva Venecia. Each morning, children paddle their canoes to school, mothers glide across the lagoon to shop, and fishermen set out into the waters to earn their livelihoods. As a community dependent on fishing, nearly every man in the village is skilled in traditional fishing methods, casting their nets across the tranquil waters. Meanwhile, their children spend afternoons playing soccer on a floating field, carefully practicing their kicks, always mindful of keeping the ball from plunging into the lagoon below. Reflecting the village's distinctive identity, every structure floats, from the local church and school to the community's only health clinic, all perched gracefully above water. Though isolated geographically, Nueva Venecia isn't entirely disconnected from the outside world. Electricity arrives via generators, Clean water is harvested from rainfall or brought over from the mainland, and some parts of the village even have internet access. Social life here revolves around tightly knit extended families, with multiple generations often sharing one roof. The community is close-knit and resilient, offering mutual support through all life's challenges and celebrations. Nueva Venecia's culture, known as Cultura Amphibia, beautifully blends Afro-Colombian traditions with the distinctive way of life on the Caribbean's coastal waters. This rich heritage thrives through vibrant festivals and communal celebrations that regularly unite the villagers. Several key events mark their calendar, from the exuberant Festival del Caiman Cienagüero and the lively Carnaval de Barranquilla to the sacred Dia de la Virgen del Carmen. But celebrations aren't limited to these special dates. Spontaneous festivities often unfold beneath the stars in front of the village church, transforming evenings into lively dance floors. Here, locals celebrate life through Baile Negro, Nueva Venecia's signature dance tradition. In recent years, cultural preservation has gained momentum thanks to initiatives from foundations like Tras la Perla, founded by renowned Colombian singer Carlos Vives. Efforts are underway to revive musical and dance traditions, inspiring younger generations to reconnect with old songs and form musical groups such as Congo Buenavistero. Beyond music and dance, villagers skillfully craft traditional art from caña flecha, a local variety of cane. Meanwhile, their floating soccer field continues to serve as the heart of social life, fostering unity and strengthening community bonds. Today, residents increasingly recognize the profound value of their heritage. Suspended gracefully between sky and water, they preserve their identity, resisting the currents of change and celebrating a life lived in harmony with the lagoon they proudly call home. Behind the picturesque charm of Nueva Venecia lies a story seldom told, a silent witness to human resilience amid tragedy and persistent hardships. Its remarkable beauty as a floating village stands in stark contrast to the darker realities faced by its inhabitants. In November 2000, life in Nueva Venecia changed forever. 6 speedboats carrying approximately 70 paramilitary fighters dressed in Colombian military uniforms invaded the village. Before even reaching the settlement, they brutally executed 15 fishermen working in the lagoon, using knives and bayonets to silently terrorize the community without alerting outsiders with gunshots. Upon arrival, villagers were forcibly gathered on the church terrace, where another 15 people were executed. Dozens more were murdered inside their homes or while desperately trying to escape. This horrific event forced the abandonment of Nueva Venecia for 2 years, though many eventually returned, unable to live without the lagoon, their lifeline. Today, a small police outpost with just 6 officers symbolizes the village's fragile sense of security. Yet, violence is only one of several challenges faced by Nueva Venecia. Limited healthcare access, inadequate sanitation, and water pollution constitute chronic issues. With no hospitals and only a rudimentary health clinic, preventable illnesses often become fatal. Contaminated water from waste produced by the community and surrounding industrial areas further endangers villagers whose very survival depends on the health of the lagoon. Environmental damage compounds these problems. The construction of the El Troncal Highway in 1956 disrupted the flow of seawater into the lagoon, devastating the mangrove forests essential to the local ecosystem and drastically reducing fish populations. Decades of sedimentation and pollution have exacerbated these impacts, causing mass fish die-offs and dramatically shrinking fishermen's catches. Families who once thrived on abundant harvests now struggle, relying on increasingly scarce and economically less valuable fish.
Uno que no le alcanza la cosa que uno se hace, 10, 15, lo que sea, lo que le dé.
Yet, amid adversity, there is a growing glimmer of hope: ecotourism. Awareness of Nueva Venecia's extraordinary uniqueness is attracting tourists eager to experience the floating village firsthand. Tourist boats glide gently along the narrow canals, offering residents an additional source of income. Community-led experiences, including fishing excursions and cultural performances, are emerging as new opportunities for villagers. Nueva Venecia is not alone in facing the threats of modernization and environmental change. Around the globe, floating villages such as Kampong Air in Brunei or the Euros community on Lake Titicaca grapple with the erosion of traditions brought about by economic pressures and climate change. Yet, the challenges confronting Nueva Venecia are uniquely severe, complicated further by the direct impacts of resource exploitation and social conflict. While other water-based communities can rely on tourism or cultural preservation efforts to survive, Nueva Venecia must confront rapid ecosystem degradation, accelerated by developments like the El Troncal Highway. This road, which has already disrupted natural water flow into the lagoon, is now slated for expansion, threatening to further intensify pollution and warming of the Ciénaga Grande. In this era of modernization, the survival of Nueva Venecia hinges precariously upon striking a balance between development and environmental preservation. Without urgent intervention to protect the lagoon and mangrove ecosystems, the village risks facing an ecological catastrophe far greater than any before. If the government and the community do not act swiftly, it is not only maritime traditions that will disappear, but life itself throughout the entire Ciénaga Grande region.